manages social media of both Chesapeake Conservancy and the National Park Service. Michael, welcome to the classroom. It's very nice to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Please tell us about the crazy Osprey family, Tom and Audrey, the history, the camera, and the Conservancy. Take it away.
Sure, so let me share my screen so you can see my very nice presentation. So as the other Michael said, I am an employee of the Chesapeake Conservancy. We are a small nonprofit located in Annapolis, Maryland, and we work throughout the entire Chesapeake Bay watershed to restore the health of the Chesapeake Bay. We started in 2010 as a staff with just 2 people, and we've since merged with the Friends of the Captain John Smith Chesapeake National Historic Trail and the Friends of the Chesapeake Bay Gateways to form our organization. With that, we are the principal partners of both the National Park Service Chesapeake Bay and the Captain John Smith Chesapeake National Historic Trail. We focus on land conservation mainly to improve water quality. We help the health of the Chesapeake Bay and its waterways, and we provide much needed public access to its surrounding environment. We believe that when someone has access to the Chesapeake Bay and they learn to appreciate it, they'll be more apt to take care of it. We recognize that not everyone may be able to experience the beauty and majesty of the Chesapeake Bay, which is where our wildlife webcams come in. For many years, we've managed a set of 3 wildlife webcams in addition to our osprey nest. We have 2 others. We have a peregrine falcon nest in Baltimore City, and then we have a great blue heron nest and colony located on the eastern shore of Maryland. These various resources have given the public much needed engagement with nature and the history, especially with recent times. While we're currently in the thick of bird season, our webcams have seen nearly 3 times as much traffic compared to previous years, and were featured in Parade magazine, along with many other publications. But of course, we're all here to talk about the Osprey, Tom and Audrey.
Yes.
So the webcam that are the Osprey that are featured on the webcam are referred to as Tom and Audrey. And their history actually goes back nearly 20 years, which is amazing. So Tom and Audrey and their nest are located in a secret location on Kent Island. And their nest is located off in the water off the property of 2 homeowners that we refer to as the Crazy Osprey family. For nearly 20 years, the Crazy Osprey family has operated a webcam that shows the nest. And they originally set it up as an educational resource for their daughter and her class. Since then, and it's been about 20 years since that, many changes have occurred with the nest. While the Crazy Osprey family is still monitoring operate the nest as it's on their property and they have a lot of love for it, we've been able to step in to further help manage, maintain, and promote the nest. Our current 2020 season is actually our 8th year of partnership with the Crazy Osprey family, and every year it just gets better and more fun. 2020 is also our 4th year of partnership with OSPREY, a global, worldwide network of basically wildlife webcams. The addition of OSPREY as a partner has allowed for the installment of a higher quality camera and allowed for even more chat room discussions, moderation, and near 24/7 coverage of the nest. So there's some technical, history that's important to acknowledge about the nest. I have several photos of how the nest is set up. In its off season, we often have many bird visitors to the nest that are not our usual osprey, such as bald eagles. So with the nest, it's set up, it's installed every spring. I actually went out a couple months ago to help set it up. It was very cold and rainy, but also very fun and intriguing to see the behind the scenes work. We set up a small, several feet of a nesting pole to allow the birds to build their own nest. Every year it's taken down to remove any parasites or bugs that may be in the nest and to prevent any damage. And then with that, a taller camera pole is installed just a couple feet away. You can see they're attached with a bar to provide feedback and coverage of the nest. And with that, and with the addition of Explore.org, we have a very awesome moderator. Her name is Poppy, and she provides great insight and detail into the nest. I've only been working at the Conservancy for about 2 years now, but she's really brought me up to speed on the history of the nest and its inner workings and everything, all the love and detail that's gone into it.
Michael, how long has Poppy been the moderator there?
So I'm unsure of the exact length of her time as moderator, but I would assume since our years of partnership with Explore.org, she might be coming up on her 4 years. Don't quote me on that, but I would imagine she's been here for a very long time working with Explore.org and the partnership and moderation of the CAM.
Yeah, that takes a lot of dedication and commitment. Do you know if Poppy is moderating other nests as well?
I believe she helps in moderation of other osprey nests within the area and region.
Wow.
I know she sends several emails and updates about various other osprey nests. So I definitely believe she is involved in other moderation. And it's
Hey,
great.
go Poppy.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
That's
Especially
great.
the amount of detail she puts in, not only in our nest, but every other nest is definitely worthy of recognition.
Absolutely.
And then I also want to go a bit over the nest history. So I have several photos from previous years. You never really know what you're going to get every year with bird season. It could either be really productive and wonderful season with fledglings and great photos, and other times it may be a bit downtrodden and not as productive or successful as you hoped. So their nest has a very long and complicated history. As I mentioned before, it goes back nearly 20 years. And for the consistency of naming and I guess continuation of the nest, every mating pair of osprey that take over the nest are referred to as Tom and Audrey. And we're actually currently on Audrey number 2 and Tom number 3, with Audrey having used the nest since 2010 and Tom having used it since 2015. But again, we just keep up with naming for the sake of consistency. Every year, as many viewers may know, many osprey in the Chesapeake Bay region at least return around mid-March and then lay their eggs throughout April, and then the eggs tend to hatch in late May. But unfortunately, nature is nature, and we've had several failures and losses over the years. This most recent season has been very difficult for not only the Crazy Osprey family, Conservancy, and Explore.org, but for many viewers. It's also been a very kind of active season, almost like a reality TV show. The beginning of the season was marked with the return or the arrival of 2 OSPREY, as one of my coworkers called them, that were not Tom and Audrey, that tried to assert control over the nest. But Tom and Audrey did return and fought competitively for the nest and came out successful. And with that, Audrey laid her eggs all in mid-April, which we're very excited about. Unfortunately, by early May, we began to suspect that something may be wrong with the nest. Tom and Audrey began to take lengthy absences from the nest. We don't know the precise reason for this. Nature is nature, but it may have been due to food shortages or the very poor weather conditions we've been having in the Chesapeake Bay region. But whatever the reason, their absence has led to various egg failures that we've seen this season. The first egg was unfortunately cracked. We don't know why or how, but we lost 1 egg the beginning of May, and then I believe only a few days later, May 10th, I believe, the other 2 eggs fell victim to predation by crows, which is unfortunate, but we recognize that nature is nature, and we can't control it. We can just accept it and experience it for what it is. But our season hasn't stopped there. We've actually seen 2 mysterious OSPREY return to the nest again. Again, trying to assert dominance over the nest. We're not sure if these are the same osprey from the earlier in the season, but just recent developments. The male has left the visiting male, I should say, left the nest. But so has Tom. He's taken another length of absence. But he has returned, so we're not sure what Tom's deal is this season. But oh wait, I got that wrong. My apologies.
That's okay.
The visiting female left the nest after competition with Audrey. She's asserted that it's her nest, but Tom has made various absences. So the visiting male has attempted to court Audrey. We have seen with fish deliveries and staying on the nest for a certain period of time, but Tom has returned. So now it's kind of in the air of what's going to happen with this, almost like a love triangle.
Talk about drama. Yeah, it's difficult to keep everything on track. But I also really like that word OSPREY. That's very clever.
I cannot take credit for that amazing phrase. One of my coworkers coined it, but it's been a very fun and easy term to use. But we're very excited and interested to see what else will happen with the nest, whether the new visiting male will stay and become a new, like Tom number 4, or whether Tom number 3 will stay. But I'm very excited about this nest. We love our osprey. We love being able to share their story and their day-to-day lives and experiences. And I'm very excited to be sharing their stories with everyone else here. And that is about it for my little spiel and background on the Conservancy. And
that's wonderful. No, thank you so much, Michael. I'm going to see if there's some questions on the chat, but yeah, thank you for sharing the story with us.
Of course.
Let's see here. Do you know if Tom is building another nest somewhere?
Well, in many of the other shots that I had on my slides, many of them aren't taken on the nest. One of the property owners we refer to as Mrs. Crazy Osprey Man, she controls a Crazy Osprey family blog. And she's taken shots of various surroundings that surround the nest. So when they aren't on the nest, Tom and Audrey will take up residence or temporary residence just to get away from the nest for a bit in surrounding trees. We aren't sure if he has built a nest somewhere else or if he's decided to move on and leave the nest, but it'll be interesting to see future blog posts and future photos to see if this is indeed happening. Right. But I can't say for certain whether he has taken up residence somewhere else. I hope not.
I hope not. Do you know what the status is for the other nests located in Chesapeake Bay? Have there been numerous nest failures compared to other years?
I'm not sure about the statistics of the other surrounding nests. I know it really depends on the year and just the other various conditions that we can't control. I know that a fellow environmental organization, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, they have their own osprey nest. And I believe in the past couple years, it's been taken over by geese, which is very interesting. But I believe this year, the osprey have successfully been able to nest. And I believe they've had an osprey egg on their nest. Again, I'm trying to remember from what I've seen from their social media posts and stuff like that. But it's really dependent on everything else. But I believe there have been several other nest failure or egg failures at other nearby Chesapeake Bay nests, which is unfortunate, but that's the way nature is.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Before I let you go, I want to know how can we help the Chesapeake Conservancy?
With the Chesapeake Conservancy, we are a nonprofit, and we will kindly accept any donations that you would like to make for us. Please just go to our website. But really the best way you can help is just by following us or viewing our cams or just spreading awareness and content of our mission and other fellow organizations in the region. We're all in this together to help save the Chesapeake Bay and restore its health and improve public access and many, many, many other necessary components. But really just follow our organization, give us a like or a follow, view our webcams, whether they be osprey or great blue heron or falcons, and just feel free to support us. We'll take any, support necessary.
Thank you, Michael. I hope to work with Chesapeake Conservancy. I'm going to be attending the College of William and Mary and getting my master's in biology. And my main focus is to protect the osprey stronghold at Chesapeake Bay. It is the world's largest breeding population of ospreys. But there is a lot of overharvesting with menhaden, which is one of the forage fish there, and
Yeah.
it's a fish that feeds everything. And if too much forage fish are being taken out, the whole ecosystem will just kind of collapse. So
Yeah.
definitely hope to work with you, and we're gonna help the Chesapeake Bay get back to its great glory. So thank you
That'd be
so much for being
amazing.
with us.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, well, thanks everyone for staying tuned in. You want to stick around for our next guest. It is such a beautiful story, and Sharon Kay is a Osprey champion, a hero, a champion for Ricky and Lucy, who is the resident pair at Lake Murray in South Carolina. Sharon Kay and her husband, Vic, have gone through 4 trees, 2 poles, 4 broken cameras, 3 broken mics, and about 20 truck rentals. Can you imagine the cost of that? Talk about a diehard love for Ospreys. We commend you, Sharon Kay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Joining her is Lori Spencer, who in 2018 moved to Lake Murray to retire. She became a close friend to Sharon Kay, Ricky, and Lucy, and is the co-cam operator and moderator / video highlight publisher. So great to have you both. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as well.
Okay, so I'm going to share a little presentation. There, let's see that. Do you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so this is a picture. This is actually the second time you met, right? Did you go on a boat tour to view the osprey nests?
Yes.
Yes.
How many osprey nests are there in Lake Murray?
If I had to take a guess, I would say 200 plus. You think that might be accurate, Lori?
Wow.
At least.
Yeah. There's at
No way.
There's at least 20 within my end of the lake, and I'm not in the same end of the lake as Sharon Kay is.
And I know of, I mean, I could get on a boat and take you to 30, just boom, 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 easily.
That is mind-blowing because that sounds like osprey heaven. I mean, that's there must be there should be a lot of fish in that lake then to support that population.
There are. Hopefully enough.
Yeah, hopefully enough. Okay, let's go. Let's go back to 2013.
So you want me to just give a little bit of
Absolutely. I'm gonna be popping up the videos and pictures.
I want to say thank you to you, Michael, for doing everything that you do to help the Osprey.
Oh.
And thanks to Suzanne and all the people and all the staff at Dunrovin. It's just amazing. Really, really. And I know a lot of effort goes into it. So thank you from the Osprey hearts.
We're all working together. We know how much we love Osprey, so it's great to be united.
So this is where they came the first year. It was, I think, June even. And I'm out working in the yard and I see these big birds hanging out in this tree, and they kind of hang out there for a couple of days. Then they start bringing sticks in. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. They started putting the sticks, that's the dead tree right there in the middle of the picture. And they, almost to the top, you see like a Y stick. They started dropping the sticks right there, and that didn't really work. So they figured out, they brought the nest towards the trunk, and then, yeah, right there, that Y. They dropped the sticks there, and 2 stuck, and about 200 ended up on the ground. So
oh my goodness.
they revamped, and they moved to the center of the tree, to where the trunk is. There it is. And then they started building. And we watched. I took pictures. I thought it was super cool. Didn't even know what kind of bird it was. Had to Google it. I found out it was an osprey. Did some research on ospreys. Oh, they're really neat. How cool. They built half a nest. They left.
This is half of the nest in 2013.
Mm-hmm. They built half a nest, no eggs, no nothing. And then one day they were gone. Both of them just gone. I was like, well, that was cool.
And then in 2014, this happened.
Didn't expect them to come back. Didn't know that was going to happen. So when they did, I was super excited. And then I kind of tuned in a little bit more with the camera, paid more attention, did a little bit more research, just zoomed in on their faces a lot. Still did not have a clue what I was doing. I contacted.
This was your still camera.
Yes.
Not your live feed.
Yep, exactly. I do know that this male bird is an excellent fisher bird. He
Ricky.
brings in some whoppers.
He does, and he brought a lot. Actually, he set the record this season so far. He brought 9 fish in one day. That's very impressive. Yeah, go Ricky. Out of all of the nests that we're watching, yep, he brought in 9.
Awesome. So this year they laid eggs. At least I thought. I could tell. She was sitting for a long time. And I thought they had 3, but when I started doing my research for this podcast with you, I couldn't find one picture to substantiate. I think it's this picture we're looking at. I thought there were 3, but that's actually Ricky over on the left. So I stand corrected. They only had 2 this year.
Mm.
So they had 2 babies and they left. Then when they were due to come back, the day they came back the following March, but it was like mid-March. And the day they came back, they were circling. I saw them circling because I now knew what they sounded like. So when I was out in the yard and I heard them, then I went running out there looking up in the sky. There they are. They land in the nest. They hop out of the nest. They're sitting in the trees. They're looking at the nest. And 2 hours later, a storm blows in and knocks the tree down.
Just 2 hours later after they arrived.
I have video of it as well, where you can see the tree in the nest coming down.
I mean, you can see that. I mean, it's just on the ground and
you've got to be kidding me. I could not believe it. And I'm like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, what are they going to do? What are they going to do?
They picked the tree about 20 feet closer to the house.
Oh. And
it was dead. It was already like this. And I was like, yay. Let's see what they do. And let me tell you, they got busy. They built that nest lickety split. I was so all our friends watching it, they were so impressed. And that's the year they had 3. And that's definitely 3.
Oh yeah.
Right there. And Lucy's over to the right in this picture. And when these birds fledged that year, they were so funny because they fledged all over our yard, like on top of our guest house, on top of our electric pole. And they were like, you need to move. Stay over there.
I'm glad they were all over your place. They're right at home.
Exactly. So then we're super excited because I have an excellent view from my balcony of this nest with my handheld camera. So I really liked that they picked this nest, but nature said no. And Christmas Day of the same year, storm came in, took that nest down.
That's crazy.
So now I know they're going to come back in about March. So I have 2 months to figure out what we're going to do to get ready for the 2016 season. So I start calling around. Nobody will help me. Power company won't help me. Organizations won't help me. Nobody cares about this. Lake Murray Association doesn't really care. They're like, do whatever you want to do. So we picked another tree that was between the 2, nest 1 and nest 2. We picked that tree. We called a tree company, and I had drawn X's over the limbs I wanted him to get rid of and cut. And he went up there, and you can actually see an osprey in the sky in this picture watching him cut the tree. When I came out that morning with my camcorder, I don't know if it was Ricky or Lucy, but one of them was sitting in a pine tree looking around like, okay, now what y'all do with my nest? So I'm like, don't worry. On the camera, on the video camera, I'm like, don't worry. We're going to have you a new nest today. And sure enough, the same day it was cut, she landed on it. She's like, okay, we'll take it. They built that nest. And they had that. Well, I don't know how many eggs they had because we couldn't see in. But that was the year I found out about the Southwest Eagle cam. And I watched it and I was like, oh, that is so cool. And they got like 10,000 people watching at 2 a.m. This could be so cool. We should do this. We should totally do this. I don't know what I was thinking. So I just started investigating it and running it by my husband. And he said, let's see what we can do. Yeah, we might can make that happen. So we started making phone calls. Did I tell you about the year 2016? They had 2 eggs and 2 chicks. And then, so now we're getting ready for the season 2017, and I need a pole to put the camera on.
Oh no.
I don't know why it never even dawned on me to do an extension of the nest. I think because it was a tree and it wasn't like a structure, I just didn't think that was a good idea. I don't know what my thought process was, but I wanted the camera on a different structure. So we stripped a tree to make it look like a pole, found the pole, found a communications company that would accept the job as what I had thought it should be. I said, this is what I want. They said, okay. They came out, they gave me what I asked for, and then they showed me how to tinker around on my computer and zoom in and zoom out, and then they left.
Wow.
And then the birds came back.
You
And then
had
we
to
were so
learn
excited
much.
because we got to see them lay 3 eggs. And all I did was YouTube chat. I didn't have a web page or anything fancy, just winging it, not knowing what I'm doing. So they had 3 eggs, and then the first chick hatched. It's just amazing to watch. This whole
Yeah,
thing.
it is. That must have felt so amazing
Oh.
for the first. Yeah, exactly. And you created this, you put this up
Yeah, it was
for
so
everyone.
Then the second chick hatched, and we happened to be out of the country when
Oh.
the second chick hatched. But we were watching it on my cell phone in Mexico, watching YouTube. And then, boom, the cam went out.
Oh
And
my gosh.
Second time, it also went out right after they laid 3 eggs. I think after the 3rd egg was laid, the camera went out. The communications company came back out, had another bucket truck. They went up, they swapped out the first cam for another cam. Lucy left the eggs. We were kind of freaking worried about crows, but they did it in like 22 minutes flat. Lucy came back, they left, camera's back in business. Now, this is the second time the cam goes out.
Oh
Chick
gosh.
2 just hatched an hour earlier and no cam. And at this point, I was in Mexico. It took me a week to get back. When we got back, the people, OSPREY people that I consulted said, don't even try to take another, bucket truck up there. It's hot. You've probably got 3 chicks in that nest. You don't know what could happen to them. It's just not worth it. And I'm like, you're right. It's not worth it. We saw what we saw. We just have to see what heads pop up out of the nest, and we'll go back to handheld. But in the meantime, I think it was my husband had the bright idea, well, what if we put another camera somewhere else on the property? I said, well, that's a good idea. So we bought a second camera, and the crew came back out and they installed it on the guest house, which is like a garage at our house. And that's the view that you just saw where the Osprey was flying, the picture before this. That's the view from Cam 2.
Oh, okay, I get it.
That is as close as we could get. And you can see Cam 1 up there. And then you can see an Osprey with the fish. And this is their area, everything you're looking at in this picture. This is where they pretty much live, right here in this area. So we watched from afar with no audio. We saw 2 heads pop up. We saw 2 heads fly around, and we named them. This year's the first year we named them. We named them after the South Carolina basketball coach, women's basketball coach, because her team won the women's NCAA championship that year. So we named the 2 chicks after her, Dawn and Staley. And then that season was over. We got the cam crew back out to put another camera up.
Wow.
And here we go again. And this is where Lori, because you weren't in, did I meet you in 17 or 8? Yeah, 17.
17. Yeah, 2017 I met you.
Lori was already doing lots of videos and helping us. And I think in 17 I started my website.
I was also once I found your camera, I started doing the video highlights of your camera. So I think we have some highlights back or on I have a YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure I have some highlights back from then before. Well, and even after it went, because you can still highlight from Cam too. But yeah, 2017 is when I met.
And 2018 was, knock on wood, I mean, it was a really good season. I'm not trying to jinx this season at all, but it was a really good season. The cam stayed up the whole year. That was Dudley, yeah. We had 3 eggs, 2 hatched, 1 was a dud, non-viable, sorry. I nicknamed it
Oh, that's
Dudley.
okay.
Or
That's
Lori
so cute.
told me about Dudley. So then they buried the egg in the nest.
They did. It became
They just-
embedded,
well, they didn't like dig a hole and put it in. They just
right?
kept
Just became
putting
part of
stuff
the
on
nest.
top. And eventually just disappeared. And Ricky is a little egg hog. He pushes Lucy off, isn't he, Lori?
Yeah. Well, this year's the first year, I know we have a highlight of it, where he actually pulled her wing to get her off the eggs. Normally,
We saw that video. We posted it in one of our newsletters. It was just so
Yes.
amazing to see that behavior. We've never seen that before, where he actually just physically took her wing, and we thought he was going to go for the food, but no, he just wanted to see the babies.
yeah, he wanted to be.
He wanted to
yeah.
sit.
Yeah.
Yep.
He wanted to,
Yep.
Likes
he's
his
funny.
nest time.
He does. He likes his nest and egg time. He absolutely does.
yeah,
So,
that's precious.
I think there's also one of Lucy here taking a bath. Is that the next one? Oh no, those are
That's
the
near
chicks.
the end, I think.
Okay, so these are the two chicks we had that year, and we named them Lynn, L-Y, Lynn and Liam, and I picked the two names because of two people who were very instrumental in us having this nest. So I just named them, and then there's the egg that didn't hatch.
We do have a
That was
comment from
really
the
good
chat.
year.
We do have a comment from the chat saying that Lori makes the best videos. So good job, Lori. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
She really does. You should go check out her YouTube page. What is the name of it?
Oh, I have.
It's Polo 7424.
Yes.
No, Polo 7422. Sorry.
Correct. And you can also
Has a
go
lot
to
more than
YouTube.
OSPREY highlights.
You can go to YouTube and just type in Lake Murray Osprey and your channel pops up. But yeah, you also have ducks, right?
Yeah, at my house I did ducks. I mean, I like all sorts of wildlife. So whatever camera I happen to be observing, I tend to make highlights of the interesting things or things that you don't see often. That the books don't. The books say, oh well, for instance, I'll use Osprey. The books say Osprey don't do this. Well, hey, here's a video that shows, oh yeah, Osprey do that.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I do owls, screech owls, great horn owls. So it's whatever camera I happen to be watching. If I see something interesting, I tend to highlight it and save it, not only for myself, but I save it for public too. So that
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that sometimes, what we see on the nest is not what's in the book, or the book, is contrary to what's happening at the nest cam. And that's why I really appreciate nest cams and citizen science, because it's these types of interesting findings that leads to innovations, which can also lead to more research, right? Look what we're seeing. We're seeing different things. So yeah, we have to take a look and study these.
Yeah. I started watching cameras back in 2012.
Wow.
Started out watching a red-tailed hawk camera from Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, which happens to be my hometown. So, and then from there, they were doing Hellgate and Dunrovin. So that's where I learned about Osprey. So I watched the Hellgate and Dunrovin nests in 2012, fell in love with Osprey, and then, I've loved them ever since and learned so much. I knew nothing about them. The only way I learned was by watching on the camera and then going, oh, that's interesting, and then going and researching what I saw. And then going back to the camera going, okay, well, obviously there's a lot to learn because, as I say, the books tell you one thing, the birds tell you something else.
Exactly. Perfectly
so this
phrased.
was a good year. This 2018, well, I mean, they're all good years, but they have their goods and their bads. But those two chicks were pretty good.
This is what we were talking about just now, what the books say and the books don't say. A lot of people, because Lori reads many more books about these birds than I do. Mine's just Googling and watching and reading chats and stuff. So I don't know if the books say they don't do this, but somebody that watches our chat room said people say the parents don't feed the chicks off of the nest.
Right.
There's proof that they do. And when it happened this year and we got it on camera, it was kind of a big deal on chat that day. They're like, oh, she has evidence. There's evidence on Lake Murray Osprey that the parents feed the chicks off the nest. So that was kind of cool.
That's really cool. And you can't deny it. I mean, there's footage of it.
Mm-hmm. So we got a lot. And Lucy takes baths.
Yeah, and it's so like interesting how wonderful watching this is. I don't know why, but I find myself, like, oh my gosh, there's
It's so
Lucy.
cool. She really gets into her bass too. I mean, she
Oh,
dips her head
right.
into the water and shakes her tail feathers and her wings and just
I mean, it
splish
makes me
splash.
makes me want to join her over there. It looks
I
beautiful.
know. It looks a lot more inviting watching her do it than when I go out there and get them wet.
And I always scratch my head because osprey get wet when they go fishing.
Yeah,
Yet
exactly.
they love, but they still love to take a bath.
And we have footage of Ricky. Ricky's taken several bass that Lori has highlights of out in the lake where he has landed in the water. Now, Ricky goes out in the water. Lucy tends to stay on the shoreline, and Ricky's taken a couple of bass on the shoreline as well. But we actually have footage of Ricky flying out to the middle of the lake, landing like a seagull, like a duck, sitting in the water where he can't touch and just.
Definitely not fishing because you can tell by
he's not fishing. He's bathing.
Oh, that's so cute. I love hearing stories about this. It's really heartwarming to hear that sometimes they have leisure time and they just want to relax and enjoy the day as well.
And the bonding time, they bond. They like to hang out.
Yeah, Ricky and Lucy, they bond. They really
when they first get together, when they first come back from their little separate vacays. Yeah, they used to have this one tree they would sit in, the heart tree, and it did like this. And when each of them were on it and did like that, they made the heart. The tree was like this, and then Ricky and Lucy's heads did like this and made the cutest. Anyway, okay, that's not scientific at all, but it was super
No,
cute.
that's okay. This is, we want to connect with them too, on a heart level, and that's okay if we anthropomorphize,
And we have Lucy's very feisty. Ricky loves to learn. He loves to hear himself talk. But Lucy's the toughest of the two. I mean, he might catch some big whopper fish and he might be strong, but she's bad with what we call our little word that we made up. Instead of intruders, they're otruders.
Oh.
So when the otruders come to try to take the nest or take their fish or battle for the nest, Lucy is one tough bird.
Really, just will not tolerate it at all and just kick them out.
But backflips them. And I mean, the footage that we have, I have one that I actually did one highlight myself with one. And I have her battling 11 different otruders in an hour and a half?
Wow, 11.
11. And she booted them. I mean, she's tough. She's a tough bird.
Go Lucy, fierce mama.
So now this is, is this still 18? I've lost.
Yeah.
That was the good year. So that's Lynn and Liam.
Oh, I love this double, wingsercise thing going on here.
They're super cute.
They are, and I'm cute, in sync.
Yeah. So then we are at 19.
Yes.
And 3 eggs. They both come back. And 3 eggs. 3 hatch, all 3 hatch, and we lost 1. Oh. And you explain that, Lori. What you think?
Go ahead, Lori.
This is my personal opinion. I'm not an expert in anything, but I think that there was something wrong with C3 from the very beginning. So it wasn't necessarily shortage of fish or something. There's just something. It was a failure to thrive. So it was never really strong. And then the older 2 siblings also, were doing domination of the nest, domination of the fish. And so it did end up, it passed at 14 days. So but it never really thrived well at all. I don't think so. I think that there was something wrong with it, as well as having sibling, the sibling domination.
Yeah, right.
But we had something interesting also happen this year. A school started watching the nest, and they were on our chat. A first grade teacher was on our chat, and she would let her entire first grade class watch the cam every morning for about 30 minutes. And she'd have them do little projects on it and all kinds of things. It was super cute. Then a kindergarten class kind of got jelly about it, and they wanted in on it. So
Yes.
then we had a first grade class and a kindergarten class. And so then we offered to let them name the chicks that year. So the whole school, the elementary school, got involved in picking the names for the chicks. And they came up with Twinkle and Twilight. And Twinkle has amber eyes and Twilight has golden eyes. Their eyes kind of were
I
different
see
colors.
it. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. I really hope that the schools will take more advantage of this. That's such a great way to teach children, to get them involved with this.
It was super wonderful and everything was going along great. And then another storm
Oh no.
came and took out the camera again.
Oh.
June 7th. Actually, almost, we're getting close to that date this year. I know. So it was just enough. Enough is enough. So we decided to start all over from scratch. So we took the nest down because it was looking a little weak on one side. We took the cam tree down because apparently that was just not the right tool for all of these cams because they kept going out. I mean, even they were never directly hit by lightning. All these were just power surges.
Jeez.
That were taking these cams out. It's crazy. So up comes the platform for getting ready for the 2020 season. And then there's the new cam pole. And
these are the trucks that you have to rent?
every time.
No. That does not look cheap.
Every repair, every mic repair is crazy. We joke that if I had a winning lot, my neighbors know that the Fords we won the lottery if you see a Sharon Kay driving a bucket truck down the road. Because I said, if we win the lottery, the first thing I'm going to buy is a bucket truck.
Thank you so much. It's just...
people. So we get the cam up and we get the nest up and we raised camera 2 up an additional 10 feet, which you wouldn't think 10 feet helps, but it was a huge difference. Huge difference. So that's cam 2 you're looking at right there. And
that's big, right?
This is from this view we're looking at now is the view from cam 1 looking down.
Okay.
And we put some of the sticks that were from the other nest. I gathered up a bunch of sticks from the other nest and kept them. So we put those sticks back in this nest and then just look inviting to them when they come back because we didn't know if they were going to take the nest, They might say metal's not our thing. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Did you think along about the color too, or was the color just like that?
I wanted to paint it white because I don't know why. It just seemed natural to me. And Lori said, no, I'm not sure I would go with white. So I always listen to her. I'm like, what would you go with? And she said, maybe kind of like a neutral, did you say like a beige tan? And so I called the guy. He said, I've already painted it brown. Lori goes, brown's fine.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It looks kind of reddish, but it's actually brown.
Yeah, it looks like a little reddish. I like the reddish tint.
It works.
And there you go.
And there's Lucy's identifier, pun intended. That little mark, it's 7 o'clock position.
Oh, I see it.
That's how I can tell it's her. So excited when she came back. And then we had, then there's Ricky, and his identifier is 11 o'clock in his right eye. Ricky's in the right eye and Lucy's in the left eye. It's pretty easy to remember. And so there we know he's back. And 3 eggs, 3 hatched, but we have already lost. We say C1, C2, C3, chick 1, chick 2, chick 3. That's what we call them until we give them names.
It's perfect.
It's just purely for our own fun and our own little history on the website. So C3 lasted 13 days, Lori?
15.
15 days.
15. Yeah.
And he definitely passed away from sibling
domination. Yes.
He was a tough little cookie.
I know.
He tried his hardest, but it just, it's one of the sad things about watching osprey or raptors, because it doesn't only just happen in osprey nests. It happens in other raptor nests as well.
Thank you for pointing that out. I've had to tell a couple of students, it's going to be a little hard when you see them with the sibling aggression, but this does happen, just.
Oh yeah, I mean, I watched an eagle actually throw its sibling off the nest. So,
wow.
osprey, I've never seen an osprey do that, but I have seen them, they are definitely dominant. And it's usually not all the time, but it's usually the oldest one that is the most dominant. And that's just a survival.
It is survival, right?
They want to survive, and it's better to have one survive than none, you know.
Exactly. You rather have two strong chicks
than three. Exactly.
Right, exactly. And
we have the same thing with C1 and C2 this year. C1 has amber eyes and C2 has more golden brown eyes. Coincidence, I'm sure, but it's
that's interesting.
Noted.
You know, that's something, no, that's something good to interesting and take note of. You know, we could run an experiment and see if that's, you know, significant or not. So definitely something to keep
I've
track
never
of.
noticed it in previous years. So I'm pretty sure in the previous years, they've all been amber, which is what you expect them to be.
Right.
But amber, beautiful amber color, but so that's just a little interesting tidbit about the chicks this year. And that's where we are right now.
So C3 has been incorporated into the nest, right?
Yes,
C3
he has.
was removed. And they grow up so fast. I mean, this was just, you know, like last week. And now they're huge.
Baby dragons.
Baby dragons.
They're halfway to fledging. They usually fledge at 53, 56 days, and they're 27. So they're, you know, 27, 26 days, 28, 26, you know, they're halfway there, and they're almost as big as Lucy is.
Wow.
At least C1. C2 is a little smaller. My personal opinion, I think C1's a female, C2 is a male. But I have a 50-50 chance of being correct.
I'm going to go to the chat and see if we have any questions. And I do see one. Do you know if the lake is stocked with fish, or is it just natural fish habitat?
Well, it's a man-made lake. So at some point, you know, I don't know how the fish got here, but that was many years ago, 60, 70 years ago, 80 years maybe even. But the only thing I've ever heard of, lived here for 24 years, the only thing I've ever heard of being stocked in this lake was the grass carp. They were having trouble with the hydrilla on the shorelines.
Oh yeah, that can take
So
over.
they,
It's so invasive.
they put thousands of grass carp in to try to fix that. It didn't work.
But the lake is it's really a river dammed. So at the other end, like at my end that I live on, it's the river. It's the Saluda River. So, you know, the fish come from, who knows where the fish come. They can come down the river too. So Sharon Kay's end of the lake, she's a little bit closer to the dam, I think, than I am. So, you know, I don't know if they would stock it. But
I've only ever heard of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fish here.
Yeah, with 200 osprey nests, you know, there has to be a lot of, and fishermen too, to support the fishermen.
Yes, which I think has to do with how many fish Ricky can bring in.
Absolutely.
Competing with humans, as well as, you know, I mean, what do we have? Four nests that you know of? That's
There's
right.
5 osprey nests that I can see from my property with my own eyes.
Yeah, all in the same territory, so they all fish. So I think that has to do with why we have a fluctuation of how many fish in a day. We go from 3 fish up to 8 fish, 9 fish.
9 fish, right? We got that record set there at Lake Murray.
Yeah, he just did an 8 fish
yesterday, right?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, his last fish was huge. And those fish on the 9 fish day, they were small, you know, smaller ones, but the 8 fish day yesterday, they were all full size. Some of them were whole. The last one he brought in was
a monster.
And it was late. It was late at night, right?
Yeah, she ate it. She ate it in the morning, 3 o'clock.
Eat breakfast, you know, just store it for
A
later.
little midnight snack.
Yeah, and she ate it at midnight too. She was eating it on midnight. So yeah, which you would think we saw it because we have infrared, but it's pitch black. And she's flying off the nest. She's coming back and she's picking up the fish and eating it in the dark.
So maybe that's something I should look into too, to study.
I know. We asked that question yesterday when Laura and I were talking. I said, do they smell? And do they see in the dark? These are things we need answers to.
Yeah, absolutely.
They must see in the dark, because when she lands on the nest, she never steps on the chicks. She always walks around.
Good point.
Very good point. Something for me, do ospreys have yellow eyes? And why do they have that mask? You know, sometimes raccoons, they say raccoons can see at night because of their mask. I'm wondering maybe with ospreys. And
That's a
striped
good
bass, striped
Possibly.
bass have yellow eyes, and that helps them see the fish, you know,
Yeah.
in low light levels. So I mean, that could be the same
good
thing with
point.
ospreys. So
Yep, could be.
there's another subject.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon Kay, and thank you, Lori. I mean, looking at Lake Murray, you know, and knowing that there's 200 osprey nests there makes me want to move there.
Oh,
As a
it's a lovely
fisherman, study
place.
ospreys.
Yeah, they have
I know,
osprey
I'm gonna
boat
look at it.
tours out here, and you can, you know, bring your cameras and bring a bunch of other osprey lovers and
I'm gonna have to visit.
go on the
You know,
on the osprey boat.
It's for research. I need to go there for research.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I need to
Camp,
promote.
They have a lovely state park that you can camp at, which is what we did when we first came to explore Lake Murray. So,
Wow. How can we help Lake Murray? How can we help you, Sharon Kay?
I really can't think of anything. I'm just so happy. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way the nest is going. If you just, you know, talk to the cam gods out there and ask them to please leave my cameras alone for a couple
Yes,
of years,
please.
that would be nice.
Okay,
Other
we'll
than that,
keep-
I don't
we'll-
take donations. You know, it's
You're awesome. Thank
a
you so
hobby.
much. We'll keep praying for you. We'll keep praying for the
Yeah.
nest and send you lots of good energy. And
Yes, thank you.
no, you're awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Just keep watching. Come on the chat and on the webpage and say hi and
I'm going to tell everyone about your nest.
keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep on keeping on.
Yes.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.